Hi, welcome to Main Street Macro. I'm Neela Richardson, and I'm joining you from Malta, the location of ADP's annual Rethink conference. Well, all the thinking we've been doing this week actually had me thinking about last week's data. We saw a lot of data points on the labor market. We saw the employment cost index from the BLS. ADP came out with its own numbers on the jobs market, the NER, as well as the ADP paid Insights report. We also got the Friday numbers from the government in terms of the BLS statistics on the jobs report. And then finally, in the center of that week, we found that all important Federal Reserve interest rate decision. So I was thinking of what is the through line between all of these data points from inflation to the jobs market. And I came up with this concept called the natural rate of unemployment. Here are three things that you should know about this very important concept. One, it's extremely hard to predict. Earlier in our economic history, the natural rate of unemployment was thought to be 5%. But then, over the course of a 10-year expansion, the central bankers realized that you could actually keep the unemployment rate lower than that without stoking and triggering inflation at all. In fact, before the pandemic, that unemployment rate was at 3.5%, and inflation was still low. The second part of this, though, is that the unemployment rate, that natural rate, is always changing. Let's fast forward 3 years. Here we are, leaving December 2022 with the unemployment rate that is still right around it where it was right before the pandemic, 3.5%, a 50-year low. But the labor market conditions are drastically changing. We hear about labor tightness. Hear about labor layoffs from big tech firms. We see that the labor force participation rate is smaller than it was before the pandemic. And most importantly, we see that inflation is still more than triple the Fed's preferred metric if you look at consumer price inflation. So, the final thing about the unemployment rate is that when it comes to that natural rate, that steady state, it is still evolving. It's dependent on macroeconomic economic conditions. It's dependent on labor force participation, and it's also dependent on Fed policy. Look, some of these things in our economy are still a mystery to us. One of them is just the right amount of unemployment that keeps growth still robust, but doesn't trigger inflation. The Federal Reserve is still working that out. Hopefully, we'll get closer to the answer by the end of 2023. Thanks for watching the Main Street Macro. For more information on the week ahead, please go to adpri.org.